All right, so we're back on the Mana Sample channel. Going to play a little bit of this Indomitable Bitter Jund, as I've named it, because we've got Bitter Reunion in this Indomitable Creativity Jund list. So still playing Wrenn and Six, playing Lightning Bolts, Thoughtseizes, and Fatal Push. We've got a few different new cards that we get to try out. So, of course, we're playing Indomitable Creativity, Fable the Mirror Breaker, Wrenn and Six, and Dwarven Mine in the core of the deck, trying to get Archons into play. But then we've also got a new card, Bitter Reunion. So this is 1 in red. When it enters the battlefield, you may discard a card. If you do, draw 2. 1 mana, sacrifice Bitter Reunion. Creatures you control gain haste until end of turn. So this allows us to attack with an Archon the turn it comes into play. It also allows us to discard Archons for Persist. I don't know if playing 3 copies of Persist is correct. This seems wrong to me. We're also playing in this version, the full 4 Indomitable Creativity. Some of the other versions are not, which we'll get to when we get to them. We've also got Mishra's Command, so this is a funky new one that, again, works really well with the strategy here. So we've got, it's a commands for X in a red. Choose target player, they may discard up to X cards, then they draw a card for each card discarded this way. So for 1 in a red, we can discard an Archon. And then we also have deals X damage to target creature, deals X damage to target planeswalker, and then target creature gets +X/+0 and gains haste until end of turn. We can use this for X equals 0 to give haste for a creature, and have target player discard up to 0 cards. I hate that you can just can't just loot with Mishra if there's no creatures, planeswalkers on the board. Yeah, so that is an interesting point. If the mode you want to use is mode 1 only, you need a target for at least mode 2, 3, or 4. It's not up to 1 target creature on mode 4. That would have helped. Unfortunately, that's not the way they worded it, which is fine. That's pretty niche. We'll see if it ever comes up. But you're definitely right, Mord. It is a potential spot where you can't use it. And I'm actually surprised that they had it worded that way. Most cards nowadays, they try to make it so that, like, oh, what if you do want to use the first mode and no other mode? Usually they give you a way to do it. And in this case, they did not. But that's all right. Got some interesting sideboard cards. We've got Brotherhood's End here, so I'm not entirely sold on how good this card is, but we'll see. There is a proliferation of food decks around thanks to Spike, so it's definitely good in those matchups. It's not the best against Hammer Time, but it's definitely a reasonable tool, especially with enough instant speed interaction. We've got Necromentias, we've got Veil of Summer, we got a Terastodon for some reason. I guess it's kind of like a Sundering Titan, but one that can't end up kicking you in the teeth yourself with blowing up your own land. Brotherhood's End should be choose one or both. Yeah, Deafening Clarion style. We got the 1 turn the earth, of course, because we're a creativity deck. Ob Nixilis, the Adversary, can be used to create tokens. I guess it's okay in a grindy matchup. Hidetsugu Consumes All, another Hammer Time card. Portal to Phyrexia. Then we've got this nonsense in here as well. If you're against, I guess, again, something grindy, elementals or something like that. And then we've got some Boseijus. Let's go do the magic thing. Maybe it's a stupid idea, but couldn't Bitter Reunion work in an aggressive shadow deck like Black-Red Shadow? It certainly could. I don't imagine it being better than a lot of options you have already. I guess the card flow is nice. Okay, potentially against Shogmoth here. We got turn 1 Thoughtseize, turn 2 Wrenn and Six. Seems pretty good. Seems pretty good. We're gonna keep that. Are we set up right? Yes, we are. And I'm wearing my brand new, totally free face-to-face games hoodie that I was gifted for working at the Toronto RC. Which was super fun this weekend. Had a lot of interesting judge calls. And I'm glad that I was kind of tuned up and ready for this discourse that started today. All right, looks like we might be against the Spike's food deck. So let's go ahead and Thoughtseize them. Just because they have a lot of like super powerful payoff cards, and sniping those now is very important. Oh my. Okay. I don't know exactly what we're against. But okay. I guess I'm taking the Bone Crusher. Yeah. Rutrow. Well, Rutrow and not Rutrow, because it feels like they're on probably like an Omniscience build with like the gingerbread cabins are just trying to give them like that extra little bit of permanence. It looks like rhinos. Is it rhinos? With gingerbread cabin? Oh, and then probably the Shape Anew. Yeah, you think so? Had they said Many Fates consider Shieldred would have been missed trigger. If that was the first spell they played Shadowless, and the opponent said nothing, yes, they would have missed the draw step trigger on Shieldred. So if the opponent says draw step main phase, consider, then the opponent has a second there to go. Whoa, lose 2 for your draw. That is one of the clearest ways to do that. Maybe it's a Warp World. Yeah, I think this is going to be Glimpse of Tomorrow. Sorry. So let's get this Wrenn and Six going. We can probably Bitter Reunion next turn. Okay, I'm going to try to prioritize taking gameplay actions before responding to chat, if I can. But that is one of the better ways to do it. The thing about policy right now is that if you're trying to get your opponent to miss triggers, or you're trying to confirm that they missed a trigger, most of the ways that you do that end up giving them the trigger because they'll be reminded of it. And there's a lot of people who don't like that part of missed trigger policy. I happen to not hate it because it keeps the game closer to the way it should be. Which is that each player is hitting all their triggers. When you build decks, when you practice, when you want to be good at this game, when you practice, you assume your opponent hits all their triggers. Why then are so many people invested in tournament trying to game the system, right? Where it's like, yeah, I won because they missed their trigger. Ha ha! Got them. That's just not, I don't know. In my opinion, that's not the way the game should be played. Yeah, well done, Perfy. All right, so we got a Fatal Push, which is going to be nice here. I'm pretty sure I'm playing Bitter Reunion this turn rather than anything else. I'm guessing there's a mountain in my deck list. There's 2. So we're going to go ahead and go, yeah, mountain into Bitter Push. That is exactly what we're going to do. What a sad push, a bitter one even. So discard Archon, draw 2. Well, that feels cracked. I guess I upkeep the push in case they're not going to have a force negation. Right, and it's an interesting discussion, Disco Shark, because it's like physical dexterity in terms of manipulating your cards in paper is part of being good at Magic, and so is remembering triggers. So I'm not saying that that's not part of the game. It is 100% part of the game. But the question is, like, how much should it be part of the game, and how much do you want that to be how games are determined? That's a very different question. Okay, looks like we're dead here. So should have grabbed the Violent Outburst, realizing that they were on Rhinos, but for some reason, in my mind, I was like, it's definitely a Glimpse deck because of the Gingerbread Cabin. So Fable plus a Dwarf token this is 3 toughness versus their 12. Yeah, we're just dead here. Let's go game 2. Okay, so we have Necromentia, Hidetsugu. All right. If your opponent top deck card is accidentally revealed by a soft movement, is it correct for you to know the top 3 cards of their deck, or should it be shuffled? I mean, what? Is there more context to that? And Johnny, it is based on exploiting your opponent's mistakes, but at the same time, it's like, what are we considering? Like, is it strategic mistakes or like gameplay mistakes? Right, like a game rule exactly. A game rule violation is like not you shouldn't be allowed to exploit those, right? It's like my opponent played a card that was strategically wrong for them to do, but they did it in a way that was literally illegal, and I'm not allowed to allow them to do that. Yeah, like a strategic misplay you can exploit, but a literally you're not allowed to do that misplay or what have you. Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is all good. It's these things. All right, we just don't need lightning bolt here. I think this is fine. Okay. English is hard. So is Magic Ease, which is its own language. All right, am I going Thoughtseize into Wrenn and Six? Probably. We got the creativity this time. Are you a car person at all, or is it too much love sunk into instruments? I'm a car person. I'm actually trying to get my G2 this month. That said, I'm not like a car person. I just at some point I would love to own a hatchback. That's the only thing I want to do. I want to own a hatchback, Volkswagen hatchback. Okay, so they got 2 lands, 2 violent outbursts, Brazen Borrower. So I guess I could have taken the Borrower there, but we're just going to go for creativity X2, I suppose, the way I've drawn it up now. I don't need to know that. You are not responsible for your opponent's missed triggers. When... Oh. Damn it. When, at, whenever. But you are responsible for continuous effects, although they are always affecting the board state. Yeah, and it's really annoying because in the current game of Magic, there's just a bunch of stuff that looks like triggers that are not. Case in point, Saga's ticking up. A Saga advancing to the next chapter at the beginning of your main phase is not a trigger. It is a turn-based action for which both players are responsible, which is weird. Yeah. And there's lots of reasons that what Miss Excel just said is correct. You cannot purposely miss your own triggers, but if your opponent misses theirs, it's not your fault. There's a lot of reasons why that's true. Okay, so that's that. Okay, we got a Mishra's command. Interesting. Nothing great to do with it. So let's go Mountain into Fable. They're going to petty theft my shaman token? That's fine. Yeah, it's really interesting, Disco Shark. Okay, so they hit their land, so they have access to rhinos here, Endurance and Portal to Phyrexia. They played the Foothills, so they have 2 unknowns. So we're just jamming a creativity for 1 here. How are you liking Mishra's command? I haven't done anything with it yet. But I'm about to, in theory. So let's ditch Wrenn and Proving Ground, Dwarven Mine, trigger. Make them play something if they have it. Otherwise, we're just getting an Archon. And then next turn, we get to creativity again and give it haste. Then another petty theft. That's fine. Or we can just creativity for 2 next turn because I got the flip Fable. So we're in good shape. Yeah, it is one of those difficult things, Mord, because there are ways where you can cheat the system by being like, oh, I didn't notice that they were missing this or that. But in most cases, it's disincentivized to a point where it doesn't really work to do that. You cheat the system by lying. Right, but lying is super dangerous. Because if you are found to be lying, that's a cheating infraction that is just going to get you DQ'd. That's awesome, King Coop. Okay, so here comes my Fable. Okay. Okay, so I guess we do this. They have 4 cards in hand, so if they still have the Shape Anew, then they get their Portal to Phyrexia. And then, do I have a plan for if they get Portal? I guess my plan is to get an Archon into play and haste it. Yeah. Pretty sure this is what we're doing. These 2 Archon triggers also likely draw me into something that helps. We also got a Wrenn and Six on 7 loyalty. No, Mord, there isn't. If your opponent is missing triggers, you're not required to point them out. If you're missing your triggers, yeah, that's not okay. They're putting in rhinos. Okay. Yeah, the problem with that last god is like it's really sticky. It helps Shadowless. Anything that you can do to show that you are attempting to mitigate marked card issues is almost always a good idea, right? In the tweet, Dom explicitly said he was ignoring his opponent's shielded trigger. Yeah, because that's allowed. That's 100% allowed. It's the opponent's trigger. That's 100% allowed. It's the opponent's trigger. It's their responsibility to announce it. All right, hold on. Let me try to deal with this game. So I have a Mishra's Command for a lot. However, they've got this Portal to Phyrexia that's going to grab one of my Archons. So I wonder if I'm supposed to Mishra's Command for 3 and try to hit a Persist. Or just do it for 5 to try to set up next turn. Well, that capacity is already in the rules, Mord. Judges are always allowed to check if someone's cheating, essentially. I think I'm supposed to try to hit a Persist by drawing 3. If I put in a Mountain or a Dwarven Mine first, then we've got a reasonable shot at it. I guess then I want to put in a Mine token, because then if they get an Archon, I sack my token. Oh, I can haste my Dwarf token. That's kind of cute. So, choose target player, target creature gets haste. This player, that creature. Yes. We're close to hardcast territory, so let's go discard Proving Ground, Blood Crypt, Fable. Yeah. Damn. Oh, but. Boop. They got a food. They hungry. Smash. The incarnation trigger is not a bad ruling, Mord. That's just one of the unfortunate pitfalls of the current trigger policy, which unfortunately is like the best one we have. But that is one of those situations where it's like, that does look egregious, but it is correct, and it exists that way for a good reason, in my opinion. I don't think the current policy is very exploitable, but it is exploitable to a small extent. It's certainly something where you can get an advantage sometimes that looks wrong. So I can creativity for 2 here, but unfortunately I don't actually have another Archon. There's 2 in the graveyard, 1 in my hand. So, but we can creativity for 1 and then haste it. So we're winning right now. Just make sure the trigger resolved. Right, but by making sure the trigger resolved, you failed to do the thing that you wanted to do. Right, exactly. It's like, how do I make sure my opponent missed their trigger in a place where they didn't miss their trigger? And it's like, you can't. The answer is you can't. It's not possible. It is theoretically possible, but the opponent would have to be sloppy to an unbelievable degree. Okay, so I'm going to discard 0. I'm going to give that haste. Okay, so game 2. Boop. You have died. I talk a lot at Comp Rel because of things like this. Questions like, what step are we? Yeah, 100% Titan. Announcing every single life total change is in the rules. I see people not do it all the time. I do it all the time. So almost every time I have a life total change, I'll be like 14, 16. And then the opponent hopefully says yes, and you move on. Yeah, shortcuts are a really interesting thing. So someone was talking about their opponent played 3 Mem Knights into their Roiling Vortex, each of which targets triggers the Vortex for 5 damage. And apparently what happened in that situation is they were told, well, you made a misplay. You are locked into playing those 3 Mem Knights. So sorry, you're taking 15. Where the player was saying, whoa, I should be allowed. Like, I wish I was allowed to change my play. I would notice after the first Mem Knight dealt 5 damage to me that I don't want to play the other 2. And that is the way policy supports. Demonstrating a loop is a shortcut. I mean, demonstrating a loop is demonstrating a loop. You can call it a shortcut if you want. It's not... I don't know if it's listed under like the official tournament shortcuts thing. I think it's listed under its own section. Yeah, Mystic Forge Mord that I play in paper, or I have played in paper, it doesn't reveal the top, but you're allowed to check the top. But the question is, when are you allowed to check the top? And knowing that is important. I probably should have changed my sideboarding there and gotten the Portal to Phyrexia in, but got a good opening hand, so let's go. MTR section 4.4 is about loops. Cool. It is and it isn't, Disco Shark. Like, the Wandering Emperor versus the Incarnation Binding thing is like, that is just the way policy works right now, and it is good that it works that way, in my opinion, but it is one of those things that is occasionally like a feel bad. So I don't need to turn 1 Thoughtseize unless I want to turn 2 Reunion with... So I guess I turn 1 Thoughtseize just to curve out here. We just keep hammering our own life total and just hope that it's the right way to do it. So they've got their 3 lands, although one of them Gingerbread Cabin. They're missing blue mana. So we're just taking Outburst here. They've got Fury, Fire, Ice, Shape Anew. So they can't cast the ice. Okay, I like this. Okay. Why is Fury still in their deck? I don't know. Maybe they're afraid of Fable. Right, the problem, Disco Shark, is while that is a big feel bad, the one scenario that we've described there, that policy supports in a lot of different ways a lot of other situations that are correct and we want them to be the way they are. So it's one of the it's one of the niche scenarios that is like, oh, yeah, this kind of sucks. I've heard things about asking if the stack is clear. Does that work to show that the trigger was missed? Yes. 100%. If your opponent's supposed to have a trigger on the stack and you ask, is the stack clear? And they say, yes, they missed their trigger. So they still have the Fire Ice and they ripped the correct land for the Violent Outburst, which they do not have. But they do have Shape Anew next turn. So putting in a Fable token here is not the best. Then they portal, and then I have to deal with that. Although the portal doesn't do anything right now. So I guess I can just play a tapped Proving Ground this turn, or I can play Fable, they play Portal, they nuke my Goblin, but then I get... Okay. So they're going to port in a Portal, and our plan is to not care about it, I guess? Okay. Oh, they drew another Violent Outburst. Well, that's incredibly bad for me. So their draws, since we Thoughtseize them, were a blue source and a Violent Outburst. That's really rough. Yeah, we'll see what they choose to do with it. Because they have the cabin still, so they could put the Phyrexian Portal into play this turn. I'm hoping Portal to Phyrexia. I'm hoping they do, because it basically doesn't do anything for them. Like, it kills my Goblin Shaman, but I don't really care. Yeah, this is fine. Hey, Larynx. Rhino's crashing in. So then this turn I make a Archon that they don't currently have a way to kill. We'll see where that goes from here. Okay, that's a great draw. So let's discard Proving Ground. And I think that's it. I need everything else in my hand. And I don't hate that. I guess I could have discarded the Mishra's Command because I have a Bitter Union in play. Oh! I can't believe their draw. All right. Well, dying to the tempo deck with having a perfect draw. It goes that way. This deck performed really well for the first match out. You know, if they didn't have the exact perfect draws, we would have been in a good way. And to follow up Gabby's comment there, yeah, there are lots of judges that at a small local store level will make very, very incorrect calls in terms of policy, because there's feel bads involved. And that misinformation can spread very quickly. Also, at large events, sometimes judges make a missed call. And in most scenarios, most judges are mature enough to go find the player and say, listen, I made a bad call in your game. I'm really sorry about the way it affected the game, if it did. Here is the correct ruling. Please do not go through the rest of this tournament assuming that the way I ruled on that will be the way it gets ruled on in the future, because I was wrong. It's not one of the most fun things about being a judge, but it is one of the most important things, is that when you're wrong, to go find the people and tell them you were wrong. It is also, though, encouragement to be like, if you're going to be judging a competitive rules enforcement level, do your diligence, don't snap off rulings. Right. That kind of stuff, Mord. Oh, I didn't see any of that, Gabby, but that sounds incredibly exciting, and I'm excited for you. Assuming this is Murktide or Creativity, I'm just gonna pass here because I don't need my land drop till the next turn. I guess they have to have specifically Spell Pierce, so I'm just supposed to jam here. And then next turn, if I miss my land drop, I can't Mishra's Command without a creature in play, as Mord pointed out. And if I pass here, it opens them up to having Counterspell as well. So we might as well just make them have it on Spell Pierce. They kept their 7, they drew an extra card. So if they have the Pierce, they have the Pierce. But if they don't, then we're in good shape. Good. Excellent. Yeah, a lot of people, Mord, forgot how Spellskite works when it was not in the meta for a while. It happens. You just have to be able to look up the ruling somewhere. Are there competitive rules enforcement levels with one judge? Absolutely. Happens all the time. Lots of places don't have the budget to have multiple judges for a competitive rules enforcement level event, so it is tricky. Yeah, local RCQs, 1Ks. Oftentimes there will be a judge of hopefully at least level 2, and then they might have some support from like the tournament staff or the event staff. Mort, are you telling me to come learn Spanish and train up more judges in Argentina? Is that what you're telling me to do? Oh, cool. Yeah, so it looks like a mirror match. Yeah, people in areas like us, Carrion Lich, are really spoiled. Oof, not the best draw. Without anything in play for me to Mishra's Command, I can't use it as a rummage. Otherwise, I would have gone X2 here. So drawing the all removal hand in the Creativity Mirror is not the best move. Lightning Bolt, apply directly to forehead. Lightning Bolt, apply directly to the forehead. Lightning Bolt, apply directly to the forehead. I don't remember what that's a reference to, but I know it's like a medication. Is everybody playing Creativity Shape anew? It feels like a lot of people are. Head on. Okay, there we go. Oh, somebody moved. Thanks, Mord. Lightning Bolt you, I would like to redirect to your Planeswalker. Now there's someone who understands the old magic. I'd like to play my Umezawa's Jite, destroy both Umezawa's Jites. I have a ley line, you can't target my Chandra. Oof. Oof. Too real, Mord. It's too real. I should not have fetched here. I should not have fetched there. I definitely wanted to draw another land. Although, not that I can do anything with it. But that's not the old legend rule. That's the funny part. If I make you laugh, can I get a mod sword? I'm a good guy. Nice and funny. Mord can attest. Yeah, probably Titan. I mean, you seem to have your head on in terms of the judge discourse. Yeah, head on, apply directly to the forehead. Head on, apply directly to the forehead. Head on, apply directly to the forehead. Directly to the forehead, Mort. Can Gabby get a sword? Oh, I don't know about that one. That's a lot of... I guess you are an actual judge. This is just a lot of mod upgrades in a single day. How many mods do I have here right now? It's a lot. Jesus. I'm not promoting any mods right now, just because I have a lot already proportional to the size of the chat, but it is... ask me on another day, Titan and or Gabby, and you might get your modmanship. Mods personmanship. Mods them ship. You don't have an Italian mod, though? I have more, and it's close enough. How far back is the forehead on a bald person? Oh, that's fine, Perfy. You can definitely try to make me laugh. Where do bald people stop applying shampoo? Where they don't apply shampoo anywhere, do they? I mean, assuming they're bald. All right. Tech, I'm really going to need you to get your stuff together. Yeah, they do? Why would they do that? Why would they just use soap? Yeah, but you could just use soap. You don't have to use shampoo. You can use the same soap you use for, like, body soap. It's just skin. If it doesn't have hair. Shampoo is better at that. Okay, if you say so. I feel it's actually the opposite. I feel like shampoo is better at not destroying your hair. It's too drying for the scalp. Interesting. Things that I didn't. I should use a face cleanser soap? Oh, for your bald head if you were bald? Yeah, that makes sense. Shampoo specially formulated to not be as drying. Yeah, I guess that was my point, is that, like, once you're bald, you don't need... Anyway. Face cleanser is best. All right. We need to normalize not needing to have every single rule and interaction memorized, as well as double checking your ruling. It is normal. I mean, at least where I'm from, Gabby, it's normal. It's normal for the most experienced judges I know to look things up because they go, listen, I just need to make sure that policy hasn't changed and I missed it, because that happens. So if I'm not 100% sure, I'm going to look it up. And even if I am, I might still look it up. Just to double check. It is very normal, at least where I'm at, for judges to do their due diligence. Yeah, sanity checks are good, and players I know would rather have you take the time to get it right than mess it up. 100%. I mean, I am going bald, Mord. It's just like, I'm not going to, like, shave my head at any point. I'm just going to live with you know, whatever beautiful archaeological ruins I end up with. Rock that sick Benjamin Franklin look. Yeah, I don't know, Gabby. I mean, in my area, it is fairly common for L1s to be mentored, and so they pick it up pretty quickly. But your mileage may vary. I'm definitely... Yeah. I'm not saying that your experience is wrong. I'm just saying my experience is different. Okay, so we got a Dwarven Mine. Gonna go for Creativity X2. We blow them out, and then we'll see where we end up. So out of my removal spells, Bolt is theoretically the most useful. Because 2 bolts can kill an Archon, no number of fatal pushes can. I guess Mishra's Command, if I had 7 mana, can do it. But anyway, we're burning the bolts here for sure. Push it. Little salt and pepper. I'm going to go ahead and fetch, and there's a number of reasons why. The number one is that it increases my chance of drawing creativity. The second reason why is I can finally Mishra's Command and toss some of this nonsense. Draw an Archon to loot. Yeah, that would be perfect. The real question is, do I Mishra's Command for X2 or X3 or X4? X2 means I could draw... Oh, no, I can't draw the Archon. Because the way Mishra's Command works. Hold up, Bolt. Okay, so we'll... Hold up, Bolt, play land after that. I think what I'm going to do is... Play the Mire, get a Dwarf, go Mishra's Command X3, and give the new Dwarf haste. X3 and play land after. I can get more damage through this way, Mord. If we X3 with land in play, it's obvious we have interaction. I mean, I don't think I'm worried about that. Don't you need to discard Persist if you play a land? So, yeah, I guess I'm only commanding for 2 at the most. Unless I want to pitch the land. Which I honestly could. 1, 2, 3. And I just hope we draw another land. Which, most likely I will. Unless I draw Wrenn and Six. You think pitch land? I think we just go for X2. See where it gets me. Because that way I could play Wrenn and Six if I draw that. Yeah. Yeah. X2. Play land, X4, loot your whole hand. See what happens. Alright, I don't hate that. Yeah, because there's multiple persists still in the deck. Actually, no. We're gonna leave up one and we're gonna leave up the Bolt. I'm not crazy. I'm not taking myself off Bolt here. I think that's insane. I think looting the Persist is not insane, but cool. We have lethal next turn. Do we? No, not quite. I think looting the Bolt there would have been a mistake. Next turn I can attack for 3 mana to attack for 3. No, I have lethal, right? I have lethal. I think I just have it. I think it's exact. Assuming that I don't have to play the Bolt this turn. Assuming all my dwarves survive. Fable. Okay. We no longer have lethal. No, I was just trying to see if mathematically I actually had lethal. I was trying not to miss lethal, chat, and I'm not practiced at it, so it takes me extra brain power. I have to brain with my think. Assuming I don't get Thoughtseize, though, we do get to play Wrenn and Six, pick up a land, Bitter Reunion, draw 2, and potentially draw Persist. I guess I could do that in the other order, because then I could draw Creativity. Does it matter when I bolt? Not really. So I'm definitely not letting this thing live. I think I'd rather be mana efficient right now. So we'll see what we draw. I might need to Bitter Union the new card. Whatever it is. Hopefully like it's an Archon. Okay. So unless they have exactly 3 removal spells, I probably just won. Yeah, okay. So we go combat. Yeah. We just go combat, and then we go post-combat Creativity X3, and it's very, very unlikely I don't win on the spot. Okay. And even if I'm not literally winning this turn, I'm probably winning. Whoop. Okay, so Portal to Phyrexia seems nice. Necromentia seems nice. Veil of Summer seems nice. Terastodon seems nice. Don't know what I'm cutting, but those things all seem good. Fatal Push is generally pretty poor. Mishra's Command was really hairy there. I mean, I'm sure I'm supposed to keep this, but I could probably cut an Archon. Because if they have a similar sideboard, it's going to be interesting to see if they Necromentia my Archons or my Creativities. They did see Persist, so they should go for the Archons. And that might leave us in a good spot. Maybe we go down to Persist. I think everything else is really important. Or like a Bitter... Bitter Union's really nice to rummage. Maybe it's me, but Turn the Earth is a horrible Magic card. Having a single card that gains you 4 life that you play in installments. Wrenn? I don't think you ever want to cut Wrenn in these matchups. Wrenn just wins games. Oh, Portal to Phyrexia is something else, Janice. Let's go down to Thoughtseize. Yeah, Weather the Storm is nice, but it's kind of I don't know what the right way to describe it is. It's having a specifically life gain card is it's too tough. Yeah. Rye DK, thanks for coming on by. Yeah, bet we did. I don't remember which human you are, but I'm sure you were an awesome one. All right, so we got turn 1 Thoughtseize, turn 3 Terastodon. Seems decent. The nice thing about Turn the Earth is that you can use it against like graveyard decks and Rakdos Scam. You can use it against like Murktide to like sometimes like turn off their DRCs or stuff like that. So it just has more play to it than you'd think. Playing Rhinos, trying out Proxy. Oh, right. Were you the mostly foil one or not the mostly foil? Oh boy. So I think I'm taking their Thoughtseize, which means I'm letting them Wrenn and Six, but that's probably okay. Oh, one of Ben's friends. Yes, thank you. I know exactly who you are. Pretty sure we take the Thoughtseize here. No fetch yet? Yeah, that means leaving them the Wrenn and Six is even better. Right. Good point. Thank you for pointing that out, Karen. So we turn 2 Bitter Union, turn 3 Terastodon maybe, and just blow up all their lands. They'll have a Wrenn and Six, but I have a Bolt for... Well, I guess I could blow up 2 of their lands and the Wrenn and Six. So we'll see. So they went Stomping Ground, Wrenn. All right, Stomping Ground. Bitter Reunion. Huh. What? What do you got, opponent? Bring on the pain. If they tap out, you kill them. Do I? Is that true? I don't know if that's true. With a land. Yes. Yeah. Because I would, destroy all my stuff, make 3 elephants, and then haste it. That's really cool. That is a play that I didn't think about that this deck can do. Opponent fetches in main phase. Okay. Not sure why Mishra's command looks so goofy in the graveyard. That's interesting. Alright, I guess we just kill him, huh? This is a really cool play. I want to thank all the members of chat for pointing this one out. So let's go black 1, and then float a green. We go... Oh, hold on. It's... Oh, yeah, because it's -1 counter, but they're at 17. Yeah, so you go to Terastodon. Nasty Terasti. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Yes. Haste. In a military role, in a military role. I can't remember what the rest of that song sounds like. Colonel Hardy's March? It's a military go. Colonel Hoppy. Up, 2, 3, 4, keep it up. 2, 3, 4. Oh, the aim of our patrol is a question rather droll. For to march and drill over field and hill is a military goal. Is a military goal. Do you know that Handsome Devil version? No, I don't. Are you singing HMS Pinafore? No, that would be very different. Wait, are we talking about a different song? There does not seem to be a That Handsome Devil version of Colonel Hoppy's March, so I'm assuming that you were talking about something else. Oh, maybe there is. Wow, it's just really deep in the... Hold on. Yeah, we smashed with a lot of rhinos, so... Or not rhinos, elephants. Alright, this hand is fine. It's missing black mana, but... This kind of sucks. Yeah, I mean... I get it. Well done. Good cover, but... It's definitely not the original style. But definitely not for me. I guess that's why it's so few hits on YouTube. Was not easy to find. All right, we got the beautiful Eldraine Island, and it looks like we're against the folk. I found my black mana. Would I rather Thoughtseize or Bitter Reunion? I think I'd rather Thoughtseize. Maybe Bitter Reunion this turn is better, and then we try to use the Thoughtseize when I need to clear the path for something. So in this case, we'll get this. And discard Mishra's command. Okay. Good. Their only really famous song is the one behind the bonus list of Guitar Hero 2. Would you rather play against Tron for 9 straight rounds or Hogak? Do I get to pick what deck I'm on, Perfy? Because either way, the answer is Tron. Spreading Seas. Okay. All right, so we're going to go Bloodstained Mire into Fable here so we can rummage next turn, and then if I hit a second black source, we can Thoughtseize before we put our Archon into play. I'll be right back, chat. I guess the Goblin is the second black source. Oh, what? They're violent. Love the chair stream. What's up, cute bunny? Yeah, it's 1 mana for haste, and then it's a bunch of different like incidental value. It hasn't seemed great. Bitter Reunion, good card. This is fine. What the hell am I up against? Is this Mimeomancer? Hey, Eggy Benny. How was the afterglow of your fabulous tournament weekend? It's Merfolk. They play 1 Magus normally. No shot. I don't believe that for a second. Yeah, that's nonsense. That's utter nonsense. That is not true. So, I guess I'm discarding both Archons. And Mishra's command about to kill the Magus. So, I do that, and then I Thoughtseize? They play 1 Islet and a Magus. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Mort, I kind of like... I guess so. You can land first, but if I land first... Can persist this turn. We can persist this turn, but the problem is if they have force negation, then I'm stranded. Yeah, let's Mishra's command and see if I can Thoughtseize afterwards. Carrion is right somehow. No, that's not stock. That's a version of Merfolk, and I don't think most of the versions of Merfolk actually do it. Okay, let's go mine. Command. I don't really want to rummage any of my cards. So maybe just do damage and give my Goblin haste. Has the stack is empty talk been had? A little bit. If you have any follow-up questions on it, or if you want any detailed questions on it, but I'm siding with the judges, and the second example provided by the player really wasn't helpful or demonstrative of anything, really. Okay. Do I want to Thoughtseize pre-combat? I'm probably swinging with this no matter what, right? You like Persist? Yeah, okay. Seems good. Yeah, it was Eggy. All right. So there was a judge call freak that was some people were kind of, I don't know, funky about, and it really hex catcher. There was nothing wrong, and it's just the way trigger policy is. And sometimes when people find out what policy is, if they don't like it, they get all worked up over it. That the policy is fair and it's just and it's as good as it can be, unless someone has a specific good example of how to improve it. There are certain things that are allowed in policy that I don't like. For example, you can exploit the existence of judges to trick your opponent. Case in point is the classic hilarious example of asking the judge, can I pithing needle their Dark Confidant with your pithing needle on the stack? And then they say yes, and then you pithing needle the opponent's fetch land. That's really tilting. Well, they have an active Sphaloon. This sucks. Okay. On the plus side, they have no outs for an Archon at the moment. Yeah, the Pithing Needle Gambit is something that I don't think should be allowed, but it is. Well, the policy has changed on that one, Jen and I. The Borborygmos Pithing Needle thing is silly. How different is the Pithing Needle Gambit to the Queen's Gambit? The casting's not anywhere near as good. The costume design is bad. We are just at the mercy of our top deck here. I'm assuming they're going to put in their Lord and then attack me for 7. At which point I can bolt the Lord and use Reflection to block the Mutavault, but I won't, because if I top deck Creativity, I really want to have that target. When my opponents put O-Ring on the table on top of one of my creatures and asked if it resolved, when I said yes, they chose a different target. Yep, that's one of those things where you need, both players need to communicate clearly, and unfortunately it's one of those things where it's like, it's very difficult for me as a judge to say that they are wrong for doing that. Like, what you need to do as a player is be careful and protect yourself, and I know that that's like a really shitty thing to say. I will answer that clearly in 1 second, Vija. So I've been led to believe that both players are responsible for maintaining the state of the game. If you know there's a trigger and you don't enforce it, you're liable to get a warning, even if it's not your trigger. Is this correct? No, that's not correct. So your opponent's triggers are their responsibility. Yeah, it used to be true, Jen and I. It used to be true. What did they find? Tide Shaper. Okay. Losing our black mana. So the only out right now is like Creativity. That's a dwarf token? No, it's not. I don't have enough mountains. That's a nothing. Okay, so 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's not lethal yet. So just pass here. We will chump block if at all possible with the reflection. I have to now. But then, yeah. No, chalice checking was not allowed when both players were responsible for triggers, Eggy Benny. It was illegal for you to knowingly miss your opponent's triggers. Now it is legal for you to knowingly miss your opponent's triggers. It was around Scars of Mirrodin. That was the approximate year where that trigger policy ended up changing. One of the cards that helped change it was there's like Journey or Spellbomb. Block Tide Shaper to get a dwarf, go to 2. Yeah, that is where we're blocking for sure. Because that also opens up Persist as a draw that helps me live. Okay. They have a Voldelian. Okay. So Hexcatcher kills us twice this game. Yeah, playing into that Hexcatcher earlier lost us the game, which is, you know, I mean, it is what it is. We do have Brotherhood's End, though. Don't... Yeah, the pact policy update is definitely a... So I can currently miss my opponent's triggers without being liable. Correct. I think Mishra's command is probably... Well, it is a removal spell. Okay, let's trim a Reunion and a Fable, because these are chunky. The current pact policy is if a pact trigger is noticed to have been missed, then you will put it onto the stack at the time at which it has been pointed out. What this results in, most of the time, is someone misses their pact trigger, their opponent notices. The person plays a spell for turn, then the opponent says, you missed your pact trigger, judge. The pact trigger is then put on the stack, the opponent doesn't have enough mana to pay for it, and they lose. So normally missing a pact trigger still causes a loss. Not always, but most of the time. On the play, I'm going to keep my Wrenn and Sixes, but I think on the draw I'm going to end up trimming one. Because the Merfolk deck has attempted to insulate itself against Wrenn and Six. I think they should still lose after they draw the card. Yeah, I know. It is one of those things that just... All right, and we'll go to... I don't need 3 Veils, probably. Yeah, the way policies change around packs is it's better for bad players, like who are like honestly just kind of bad at the game. This hand is great. And it doesn't honestly lead to too many times where a pact is exploited. So yeah. I'm very comfortable with pact policy where it is. But right, exactly. The thing about pact policy is it's like very consistent with the rest of the rules right now. So let's get a mountain. Find out that they have Spell Pierce. long time ago, I lost a win and in match because I forgot my Bob trigger. Did you forget it because you needed to draw the card that you were supposed to draw, or did you lose it because policy at the time said you lose the game? You can't do it a full turn cycle later, Iron Blood, but I think it is supported to put the pack trigger on the stack up to and including the opponent's like end step. Okay, this is fine because we got a bolt and a Mishra's Command. Actually, Mishra's Command might be nice here. A full turn later as in a full turn cycle. Yeah, that's not supported, but like on the opponent's turn, that is. I think we'll go ahead and shock Blood Crypt. Two damage and rummage 2. I think I'd pitch both lands. I don't think it's likely they're going to kill my Wrenn and Six. If they pack this or force this, it's like whatever. Cool. And now we have a Veil, so we can play this game quite slowly and be comfortable. No Vial on their side is also really nice. Their tempo is incredibly slow. Yeah, that's exactly what you do, Puppets. If you would like your opponent to lose the game for missing their pack trigger, what you do is you wait until they've tapped low enough that that would cause them to lose, and then you point it out, and they lose. Okay, so am I letting them go their whole turn with Magus in play and bolting on end step? Probably not. I have a second out for Magus too, so it's really not. We just bolt now and not dick around. But I feel like with the current policy, it is expected for the opponent of a pact player who missed the pact to wait until that player is not able to pay for that pact before pointing it out. And then the last moment where you would not do that is their end step. So if you miss your opponent missing their... If you notice your opponent missing their pact trigger, you want to wait until their end step and point it out then. It's also really important to point it out no matter what to get that logged as your opponent basically trying to run a cheat. Okay, so let's Brotherhood's End. It is odd, Eggy Benny. You are not required to do it that way, but you are incentivized to do it that way, and that is sort of, it's an unspoken concession to the fact that policy has changed in a way where missing your pact does not immediately cause you to lose. So you can have whatever opinion you want on it. I support the way it is now for a large number of reasons. And for competitive play, yes, you do have the feel bad of you will exploit the rule. You'll exploit policy in a way that causes your opponent to lose by doing that at the optimal moment. I think I'm going to Creativity X1 here with Veil backup. Because if they have another force, I don't want to walk into that. The opponent missing a life gain from Soul Warden, could you call the judge to get a GRV to the opponent and they don't gain a life? So that's a missed trigger, not a game rule violation, Iron Blood. So you just ignore it. You just ignore their life gain triggers that they're missing. Yeah, Freak is summed it up really nicely there. If you don't want to use the way policy is currently written to get the maximum advantage against someone who's missed their pact, you don't have to. As soon as they draw their card for turn, if you want, you can go, whoa, 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 you missed your pact trigger. Please pay for it now. Make sure you call a judge and get it logged that they missed their pact trigger. But that is the most sportsmanlike way to respond to your opponent missing the pact trigger. What's the penalty if your opponent offers to give you something in order to receive a concession? The penalty will be a match loss and disqualification. The infraction is bribery. Yeah, and that's fine, Arai DK. There's nothing wrong with doing that. I always say to my opponent that, like, I don't want the percentage points on them missing, like, their Esper Sentinel triggers. Like, that's not the way I view the game, even in paper. But some people don't, and that's fine. You have to be comfortable with the way you're choosing to play. Am I happy with the sideboarding here? Yes? Maybe cut a Wrenn and Six for a Bitter Reunion. But I don't think so. Yeah, you want the game to come to the conclusion it would have, say, if you were playing Magic Online. And it's funny because I was playing against someone who was constantly pact checking me, and then I kept pointing out their Esper Sentinel, and it was just such a feel good when I won. Because it's like, they're just constantly trying to chalice check me. Meanwhile, I'm just like quietly paying for their Esper Sentinel that they never announce. I always want to play Magic as it's intended, unless, of course, my opponent's on Lantern Control, in which case I don't want to play Magic. It's okay, they don't want you to play Magic either. So you're kind of working together there. Yeah, and the thing, Titan, though, that you have to take into account, which it took me a while to kind of understand, was some people travel a long way. They spend a lot of money to come play an event. It's more than just a hobby for them. Like, it's a bigger deal for them to walk away with $0 back in their pocket than it is for some other people. And so them playing to the maximum level that the rules allow is something that they need to do. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to keep playing Magic. And, you know, those are good people. They're good players. And so I respect the decisions that sometimes people have to make that they maybe wouldn't choose to if they had a different set of circumstances. Okay, Bitter Reunion into discard Archon here. Well, Karn is a game rule. So your either player missing the Karn's in play is a game rule violation, and both players are actually responsible for pointing it out. Don't complain on Twitter when it doesn't go your way, Lamau. Yeah, that's 100% fair too. I don't really understand why this whole Shieldred thing became a thing at all. I don't get it. So this is going to land and target only Voldelian Hexcatcher, which they can't play for right now. Messes me up. I guess they could have Spell Pierce. Okay, good. I'm assuming they have Svelune in hand, but they would have put it into play, right? No, they just hit 3. Okay. Let's go land Persist. I think. I don't see any reason not to. They have to have Force to beat it, and then next turn we can Creativity, and also assuming that the Persist resolves, then I get to haste the Archon. The game's probably over. Land, persist, Wrenn and Six. We'll see what happens. Okay, force. Do I want a Wrenn and Six? I don't need to. Having the bolt up helps. I don't think I'm playing the Wrenn and Six more. You can be mad at me if you want, but I think I'd rather have the bolt up here. Okay, so they just don't have a Sphaloon in hand. That's confirmed. I'm always slightly mad at you. That's fair. I usually do things that I deserve it. Yeah, freaking again, a good take there is like someone playing within the maximum amount that the rules allow, but within the rules, you know, some people call some things that some people do angle shooting, and they're not. Like, they're just not. A lot of things that people call angle shooting, it's just a legal play in the situation as described. I was trying on time with the family, even though circumstances were not entirely ideal. Really good, Titan. Really good. Okay. Creativity X1. With 1 mana up. They don't have a Vial on 2. They do have 2 mana open, so they can Hexcatcher. They have a Dismember, that's fine. Next turn, we can go Wrenn and Six into Creativity on 1. Still have the Bolt up, so. Hey, Kingpin for life. And I agree, Puppets. If you act constantly with integrity, my initial impression of this list is pretty good. If you consistently act with integrity, then when you make mistakes, people are less likely to think you're cheating, because you're probably not. As a judge, I always call for a judge on myself when I make mistakes, so that it can be logged. Okay, so they've got 2 cards in hand. I need to Wrenn and Six anyway to get the fetch. The question is just, am I snapping off a creativity this turn or not? I believe that I am, the way they fetch there, although they can have a Hex catcher. So oh my goodness. Okay. And they're down to 1 card in hand, but they have vials on 1, 2, and 3. I don't think I'm gonna Thoughtseize. It is not this weekend, Titan, but next weekend. I don't think I'm Thoughtseizing here. I guess I have enough life to play around with, but like... Is this the punish for our no Wrenn and Six sins? I don't think so. Shocked Canada got 2 RCs and they didn't do coverage. Little dumbfounded, TBH. Yeah, you're probably not the only one with that opinion. I don't know what to tell you. Hopefully by next... Does coverage even make money? Did you play in the first RC in Canada? I did not. I was not qualified. I could have tried to play the last chance qualifiers, but instead I took care of my grandmother and grandfather for a day, and then I worked as a judge for the Modern Open and the Pioneer Open on Saturday and Sunday that were run beside the RC. Okay. I'm just going to hold on to this bolt. Is there a point? No, there's no point. Let's clear the board. Okay, so now we go... Oh, I can Thoughtseize now? See what they have and then just get the creativity with the Haste Archon? Yeah, okay. I don't know if coverage is ever going to like make money, but it's part of your advertising budget. So it makes money by promoting that you exist and that your product is good, et cetera, et cetera. So this means we just creativity for 1. We don't get the haste, so no we're in the no fun zone, but think that's going to be okay. No hasty. Coverage made no money, NRG wouldn't continue to do it. I mean, yeah, coverage at... Oh, they punted. Brutally. Okay. Kill you. You didn't stay to the end. I failed to get first. Titan did the thing, but second was awesome. Oh, yeah, I didn't. But that's... Yeah. Wait, is Titan O'Clock another one of the Ben crew from out east? And by out east, I mean east of Toronto. Where are you guys from? It's like near Belleville? Well, that's where... I think that's where Ben is from. Big Ben. United States. Is that Pennsylvania? So you're a nor'easterner? Yeah, I like these versions less than the 4-color versions, but this has seemed really nice so far. Mishra's command is a little underwhelming compared to something like Prismari command, which obviously you'd have to splash blue for. I'm still obviously formulating opinions, but Bitter Reunion has been A+. Bitter Reunion A+. Technically you're from Georgia, though. Bitter Reunion is cracked. It's definitely very good. The fact that it's discard 1, draw 2 is insane. It's insane. I think you can have Reunion in the teamer list. Oh, you can. Is there a way to fit Bitter into 4C? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're playing like Teferis right now that are not the best. This is easy mull. Easy keep. We can actually bottom one of the fetches, because then I have a painless dwarf if it's an aggro matchup. When's Sodak adding Reunion into Dredge? I'm assuming he's already done it. Bitter is good with Teferi? Yes, technically. I guess. But the decks with Teferi probably have better cards to play. I mean, they usually play like Leyline Binding. Ooh. Opponent's on Malta 5. So is this Prisontron or Rhinos? Violent Outburst. Okay, it's Rhinos. Okay. I wanted to Yorion Reunion one time. You can do it as many times as you want in Pioneer. Suspends Rhino, misses their land drop. You love to see it. My Twitter has a really amazing picture of a Pioneer Enigmatic matchup against Angels that went to time in game 1. You have Abundant Growth in Pioneer. It's called like Nykthos Dominion. Nykthos' Blessing. It just costs extra mana because everything does. Here we are. This was game 1. We are in time. I believe it's turn... Oh, it's behind the die box. Nah, that's 2 mana. Everything in Pioneer is 2 mana. Did it have a winner? No, it drew. The enigmatic player could have won the game in like 4 different ways that he did not know about. It was round 1. He ended up going 0-2-1 drop, I think. Nice guy. He was really overwhelmed by that game and was not able to process it well. And according to him, it is not the first time he's played that deck. But if that's true, I think he was in the Modern Open the day before, so he did play like 8-ish hours of Modern the day before, so maybe that contributed to it, but he was not in a good headspace to be playing a deck that complicated. Do some people actually go 0-9 in these tournaments? I've never seen it. Oh, I definitely have, Mord. I have definitely redlined. I have 100% redlined in games of Magic. Doesn't happen very often, but it has happened. I mean, they kept their hand for a reason, right, Mord? And they did have a Fire Ice to help them out. So it wasn't like runner, right? So, pick up a land, play a fetch, in case I draw Creativity, play Fable, and Prage. Seen me redline on stream? Oh, yeah, 100%. 100%. It is much easier to redline on stream than in paper. I agree. It's easier to miss stuff in paper, just because for me the presentation of Magic Online is super clean. But I would also say, in terms of relative playtime, I've spent such an exorbitant amount of time playing Magic Online that I'm very used to it compared to paper, which I am less used to than I've ever been. Like, I'm more used to paper right now than I was like a week ago. Yeah, at that point, sorry, redlining is a term that just means like you've reached the peak of your processing power and you can't move. It's like when an engine overheats. I think that's like the technical, like when the speedometer goes up into the red area. Okay, not a good draw. Opponent with one card in hand, so you're saying there's a chance. Thoughtseize is not the card I want. I can cycle Ziatora's Proving Ground and try to pick up a Persist. I'm not actually dead yet. Yeah, Mord has never tilted a day in his life. I think I need to fetch land for the dwarf token in case they have like Fire Ice. So we're going to be really low. I guess Wrenn and Six Emblem with Fatal Push could get me out of this. Choke super hard in paper? Yeah. So much more present playing paper than I am in MTGO. Yeah, I mean, it... Magic Online, because of the way the clock goes back and forth, and because there's no opponent for you actually to like poke, sometimes Magic Online just like gets really chunky and like nobody's making actions and got a Violent Outburst. Would put me to 3. Okay, we're going to fetch a dwarf at end step if they have... No, fire doesn't kill me. First fetch a dwarf and double block the Shardless. I was worried about getting fired. But it's possible, Kaya. Bitter Reunion? All right, that's not a bad draw. So I can ult the Wrenn and Six, shock Blood Crypt, and have triple push. Before we do that, probably going to play Bitter Reunion. Because that doesn't affect... Yeah. Let's play Bitter Reunion. Discard the Proving Ground. Persist copy is still an option. 100%. But Bitter Reunion is the way we go towards that, I think. Okay, creativity is not a reasonable thing to play here. I think they have Outburst. I thought maybe Brazen or Binding when they didn't attack Wrenn. I think they have Outburst. Interesting. Why are holding Seas? I'm at 3? Oh, I guess you're saying why didn't I ditch it? I guess because in theory, if I gained life, I don't know. I have an infinite access to lands, and I don't have infinite access to Thoughtseizes. So that was my logic. Yes, you do. Well, I do now. I didn't before. Yes, I understand. Okay, so we're going to shock, pass the turn. And plenty of things kill me here, but a few things don't. Okay. That kills me. Didn't have it out for that. So Portal seems good. Necromentia seems good. I don't love Hidetsugu. Veil's probably good. Bolt is not great. Mishra's Command is not great. Hidetsugu Consumes All seems fine. It's fine. It's one of those cards that like constantly disappoints me. I don't really know how to describe it. It's like every time I think it's supposed to be kind of okay, it's awful. Cut a push. I kind of like the pushes, but all right. Makes sense. Pretty bad overall. All right. It's like push or Archon, but with the persists in the deck, I don't really want to pare down my threat package. All right. Boseiju, Veil, also busted. Huh? Just, like, in general, those cards are good? Yes, those cards are good. Nope. Yes? Yes. Okay. This is turn 3 Necromentia. Keep, bottom, push, lead Scar. In my opinion, Wrenn is what holds creativity together. I couldn't agree more, and the number one proof is the Grixis creativity, like, Reanimator Persist deck, never really got off the ground in a major way, and the missing link was Wrenn and Six. I guess they're probably playing Leyline Binding. We just didn't see it last game. And so I probably should have had the extra Boseijus in. We have one, but there's no way we don't jam Wrenn here. If you have watched Caleb at all, he's doing great with Mardu and hasn't needed the lance. Yeah, but he's also just a really good player. Still wondering when Wrenn is going to get axed. I mean, if you look at a lot of top 8s, it's not... I don't know about never, but like it does not feel like we're currently in like the Wrenn and Six apocalypse right now. So... She's a paprika. Temptation sang. Eh? Oh, whoops. Yeah, we had better plays. Oh, okay, good. They countered it anyway. They also have a Cascader in hand? Jesus. Ah. That's still probably the best play there? I guess so. Friend gets banned, they need to ban Monkey. The problem then, I feel like, is the elementals are way too good. Ego. Okay, this is interesting. So they're going to take the Archons. That means my creativity only gets Portal. Yeah. Okay. But Portal doesn't get any creatures back. Interesting. So we're definitely going to want Wrenn Ultimate, and we need to find our one Fatal Push. Also, Dwarves are now at a premium, since they're most of my win condition. They just Borrower the Portal Lamau. I mean, it depends on how many Borrowers they're playing. I very easily could be hard casting Portals. So... we'll see. We'll see. It's going to be an interesting game. We have access to a portal as a board wipe, so that's good. Which we will need presently. They could have Furry as well. That's a good thing to portal back. Yep. Oh, we can portal back the Shardless Agent. That's enough to win. That's literally enough to win the game, so... and here we get to go Thoughtseize into Creativity. So... kind of loving life. Dispute. Hilarious. Spend my time going out with you. Portal. Ding, ding, ding. We're going to portal back a Scion of Draco. I can feel it in my bones. Do love that bone feeling. Feeling like bone. Yeah, Dispute I feel like is them assuming I'm on blue and I just didn't see any last game. Which I don't know if that makes sense, but we're going to portal back, yeah. Auto targets the Shardless Agent. Yes. This is pod racing. Let's pick up the Proving Ground. Guess I'm reunioning the Proving Ground. I guess I could reunion the Reunion, but I might need to play 2 this turn. That's... oh, yeah. All right. These are draws. Oh, Hidetsugu. Yeah, yeah. We have the Hidetsugu as a win con. That's a really good. Oh, they're gonna. Okay, that's great. Thank you. Cha-ching. Let's hold on to this. Sure. I discard. Well, it doesn't really matter. Okay. Go. Monka. Was that draw good? Seems to be. All the reunions. Do we get mine and triple block? I think so. I think killing one of these two rhinos is big game right now. Also, keeping my Wrenn alive is also big game right now. There's no reason, yeah, not to at least block with the Shardless, right? Because we just get back next turn. Is the fact that they were attacking Wrenn and Six, like, does that say they don't have interaction in their hand? I don't think it says anything. Okay, so they switched to attacking me. Hey, how's it going, Unbreakable Wit? I've been lurking while playing Arena Bant Turbo Fog. Is that any good right now? Also, what format? Also, welcome. Also, what format? Last card is no. We discarded one and they had another one. We get the agent back. Yeah, I mean, hopefully they don't have petty theft or fire. Those cards would be pretty rough because we're on a tight clock. So with Remblem, do we creativity the rhinos away so then we can creativity the creatures they hit away to have more things to portal? I don't know. I don't know. We have to figure it out when we get there. So they did have fire. That's really bad. Okay. I'm that guy from the car at the RC. That. Oh, the guy with the big hair? Fable. Okay, Fable's a good draw. So let's go Reunion. I can pick up my land first, I guess. Although, maybe I'm going to cycle this. So, Reunion. Was your name... Was it Dan? I feel like your name was Dan. Probably not Dan. Wow. Okay. Burnt. Okay. So, going to 1 this turn doesn't feel good. At least we're immune to ice or petty theft. Not fire, though. But then we flip the Wrenn and Six. Board a Jeskai Stoneblade that I played on Monday and went 3-1 beating Yogg, Jund, and Team of Reach. Lost to Blue, White, and 6. Nice. All-Star with Snapcaster? You love to hear it. So, we've got a Fable going to Chapter 2. Should be okay. They had a land. Okay. Should be okay here. Can also yeah, we can creativity the rhino. Exactly. So let's discard these two. Persist with no targets. Okay. So can I cast 2 creativities? I cannot. So if the rhino turns into something scary, I'm just dead. Yeah. Why no? I just creativity on shardless. It doesn't become anything. There's nothing left in my deck, right? There's nothing in my deck. Literal nothing. It would flip through my deck and give me nothing. Yeah. I mean, this is the only play. This is the only play there is. If you hit Rhino, they might hit shardless. They will hit shardless. But that's okay, right? Wait, I'm waiting. Sign of Draco? I mean, I have you Necro first, take out Brazen Borrower. Oh, I can Necro first to see what they're up to. Yeah, that makes sense. And then we'll see. Yeah, what's up? Oop. No borrowers. Shardless, shardless, shardless. Teferi. We can't flip into those. It's just going to become a shardless agent. Okay. Okay, this is all fine. Yeah. Let's take a screenshot because it lasts longer. Okay. Yeah, we'll be able to get a second shardless, in theory. No more fire and ice in their deck? No, there's a bunch of them. Yeah, there's two. They have a lot of draws that kill us, but they have a bunch that don't. Odoar kills me. Force kills me. Fire Ice kills me. Leyline Binding kills me. Teferi kills me. Oh yeah, we're gonna Necromentia at least once more, I'm pretty sure. Probably twice. We have no Archons left. We have been egoed. Is game? No, not is game. So, what do they have three of? It's Teferi, Binding. That's it. Okay. Take out their only creatures? Their creatures don't matter right now, right? If we name Fire and Shardless, how do they win? I guess suspend Rhinos. And then name Rhinos. Yeah, so... Outburst? I mean, they have to outburst in response to the Necromentia, but I can't creativity for enough to beat it. I mean, we can't beat everything. It's not possible to beat everything. I want to name something that they have three of. 4 outburst kills. But if outburst is in their hand already, there's nothing I can do about it. Rhino and Fire are the only 2 cards that kill. Is that right? Then that's the fastest way to win. Yeah. Right. Okay. So we name Rhinos because we leave in the outburst as a dead card. And then the next one we name Fire Ice. Fire's the strongest card after that Rhinos? I guess that makes sense. Yeah, Fire Ice first. If they have Force, we have Veil, so it's not really an option for them. Is this gonna work? Is anyone familiar with Magic Online enough to tell me this is how this works? Yeah. Okay. Okay. No clue. Yeah, no kidding. It is how it works, turns out. And having 2 creatures here is big because it means that Teferi's no longer... Well, Teferi could be an out, but Odawara is not an out. So now you're Necromentia the Rhinos and it's over. And was Force Dispute. Okay, we go combat, attack for 2. They didn't force. I have Veils in the graveyard. Yeah, we can go for 2. They should have, because they don't know how many lands I have in hand, right? So they should have cast it. I think they're feeling either broken or that the only thing they care about right now is a clock victory. This line loses to Binding. How? Explain how. Yeah, we're going to EOT copy the agent every end step. Okay. We can post-combat that. I attack with that one? Yeah. This means I can block here and then copy if they come in. So I think that's the safest way to play it. Do we want to exile our graveyard? I guess not. Maybe this is a punt. See, this is the thing I'm talking about with this card. Feels like it's never actually all that good. Hopefully they force it. Why not get in with both shardless? I just feels more risky, Mord. I don't like it in the Wrenn version. Then you don't like it in creativity. I'm letting this go. I don't actually want to exile my graveyard. Wathy just released PT Philly details. It is crazy that... Is it crazy that it's $60 to get in the door, not including any events yet? Is it? If you're queued for the Pro Tour, are you allowed in? Or is this that nonsense again where it's like, oh no, you got to pay for your floor pass even though you're queued for the PT? All right, so we saw the Leyline Bindings. Let's get these Boseijus in, I guess. On the draw, I definitely needed Hidetsugu's. Definitely need the Thoughtseizes. And let's get the Terastodon in here. Yeah. I'm going to switch Archon for a Terastodon. They can go down a Fable. Yeah, I would Kaya. Ob Nixilis? Is it good here? I guess it is a win condition, right? Like, this is a thing that can actually win the game. It's so bad in this matchup, though. I don't think it's worth it. I think we have enough. So, probably go this way. This is a really tough matchup on the draw. Yeah, it's really interesting the way that all worked out, Janice. Yikes. Opponents on a mull to... They kept their 6. I think we gotta go to 5. I gotta go to 5. Woof. Keep bottom. Bottom? Okay. Hope they ego Archon gets creativity for 2 against the empty board. Yeah, the RC was the one that just happened this weekend, Brian, and it was great. Woof. Okay. Yeah, how cheap is D&T Freak? Is it like 1,000? But like that's like the cheapest deck by far. I think High Tide is probably like 1,000. I guess it's got 4 forces, so that's oops is the oops. Legacy Burn is technically a thing, but I think it loses to basically everything. Okay. Shock. Which version of High Tide, Reset, or Time Spiral? I have no idea. All right, opponent. I've set up my place. High Tide hasn't been a cheap deck in like 10 years. Oh, things I don't know. They kept the 6, so it either has infinite interaction. It's got to have turn 3 rhinos, right? Oh, that's fine. That's not rhinos. I am okay with this. Okay. Reunion the second. Cycle one of these fetches. Yikes. All right. Well. Good luck. Godspeed. Godspeed, little doodle. So they've got to fetch beforehand for a red land. So it's like Steam Vents if they want to have a 1-mana leyline. Unless their Flooded Strand can get Sacred Foundry, which it might be able to do. I'm pretty sure that's exactly where I'm at, Shauna. Is that like it doesn't it seems to be pretty cut and dry to me. It's like the person's going, isn't it ridiculous this is how it was ruled? And I'm sitting there going, no, that's exactly how it got ruled. If you wanted the game to go differently, you could have communicated differently, but you didn't. Because you were trying to deny them triggers, and it's fine. It's not a problem. The way you play it isn't a problem, but the way the judge ruled on it is also not a problem. None of these things are a problem. This is how policy is currently written. It's not, I wouldn't say it's I don't know the player, so I'm not going to call them a swindler. But I will say that what they were trying to do is make sure their opponent missed a trigger when their opponent hadn't missed the trigger yet. And it potential swindler gets swindled. I don't know. Yeah. So I think people who agreed were sycophants. Yeah, probably. It's fine. I went into someone else's chat and someone was criticizing me for encouraging people to get their COVID vaccine. This is like a week ago. I went into someone else's chat and I saw someone who was talking about me and being like, Mana Symbol used to be cool, but then he was telling people to get their COVID shot. Can you believe that? I was like, okay. Can you believe it? Yeah, what a communist. I'm a socialist. I'm from Canada. Nobody should be surprised about this. Wow. That feels good. We still might be in huge trouble, but that felt great. Symbol used to be cool. That wasn't their explicit wording, but it was to that effect. They have another violent outburst? They have a force of vigor. That's fine. Is important this communist? Of course. Karl Marx's bomb. Did I make that emote or was that someone else's? It's probably someone else. Does Karl Marx have a mustache on his head and that's why you call him Karl Marx? I only just realized that. My hand sucks, huh? Land first. Oh, Mystical Dispute. Yeah, thanks, board. Yeah, it's okay, Mord. Thank you for being in my corner. Leyline Binding on the Fable or on the token? Oh, it's going to be on the Fable because they can bounce the token with Teferi. Yeah. We are one land draw away from hard casting Archon. Hit the token, bounce the binding? I don't think they'll go for that, but ooh, okay. Oh, maybe I should have hasted this turn, huh? I should have hasted this turn. What am I doing? Also, I missed them suspend the Footfalls last turn. I definitely should have hasted my Goblin Shaman token this turn. Yeah, and my Dwarf token. Although the Dwarf token would have... Well, they would have fired the Goblin Shaman. No. I mean, I don't... Well, I would have put Teferi to 3, which means he'd be dead now. We can get another Dwarf next turn and haste the Dwarf and kill it Teferi, assuming they don't have Rhinos here. Which they looks like they're going to. Nope. Only difference would have been us having one more life point. Not particularly relevant. Yeah. Well, if I'm dead, I'm dead, so might as well. I mean, Shauna, if it's like a serious conversation, right? I get it. Fire Ice, Footfalls, and Otawara. Guess we're taking Fire Ice. Not killing 3 fairy. Ah, damn it. Yeah. Sorry, I got caught up in the... No, couldn't they Otawara it? Or did they not have the mana? Couldn't they Otawara my token? Or their Teferi? Only had 3 up? Alright, that's on me. I'm going to say it's because I thought that Otawara is reduced by your Planeswalkers because they're legendary. That's not true, but I'm going to say it. Okay, they have 2 Footfalls in exile, Otawara in hand, so I can Necromentia their Otawara. Or something better. Probably Leyline Binding. I probably hit the Odawara. Well, no, I don't want to give them a 2-2. Can we target ourselves? No. Yeah, just Odawara, a good card. I think it's Leyline Binding. Mostly I'm on a time crunch right now, so I can't really futz about what I'm choosing. Kind of need to hit my land this turn, and it's gotta not be the other Ziatora's Proving Ground. If we hit it, we might be okay. If we don't... Yeah, they have Force. They had it last game, too. They cast one this game. Maybe fetch that land. We're gonna do it. Oh, I guess I should, yeah, fetch the Proving Ground. Uh-oh. Okay. This basically means I'm dead, and the fact that I didn't kill the Teferi with the Dwarf when I could have means I'm ultra dead. Which is really unfortunate. Oh well. I think I misplayed this one a bit. They had really good draws in spots where they needed it, so I'm not going to be upsetty. I guess if I draw a land, next turn I play another Archon and haste it. So, not technically dead. Creativity out. Yeah, there are two... No, there's only one Archon left in the deck. Oh, there's a Terastodon, though. Yeah, I understand, Mord. It 100% did. I redlined on the Thoughtseize. And the fact that I've been talking way too much and not paying enough attention to these games. Second Hidetsugu? Yeah, we have that too. You're right. Does Archon with haste even save me? It doesn't, does it? So I could turn all their rhinos into shardless agents and then die to those? I guess Archon could draw me... I don't know. Let's do the thing. Archon with haste is lethal? Oh, right. They have the Odawara, though, right? How many shardless have they gone through? I don't know. Jeez. All right. They discarded Odawara to the Archon? Right. Well, we couldn't get there. These games have been really difficult because I don't know this deck very well, and I'm trying to cover a lot of policy talk in chat. So, if anyone's going to evaluate me on this is this the best match or league of Magic I've ever played? No, not even close. Which I'm okay with. Also, it's my first time I've been playing Magic Online in like 5 days, really. So, I'm gonna make so many excuses about why I'm bad. Play Wrenn and Six, get a fetch creativity so we can guarantee the haste. Yeah, see, I could have done that. Play optimally, or don't play at all. All right. Stop streaming. Where is that button? One plays, one talks about COVID vaccines. In every man, there are two wolves. Yeah, inside of all of us. Is that right? I want to say the actual quote is inside every man. Like, just being specific to the quotation. But not that it matters. I am a big fan of inclusive. Spell Pierce off the breeding pool. Okay. We get main deck Veil. Zoo? Yeah, could be Zoo. Okay. Scape Shift? Teamer Shift could be. think I'm happy to get a mountain here. All right. Last game, would the creativity on the dwarf token into the haste, would that have won it? It would have, right? Damn. Isn't Canada socialist and it's fine? Yeah, it's one of the best countries in the world consistently in terms of like the UN rating nonsense. Which obviously is biased, but it's also easy to look at that list and be like, most of these countries seem pretty great, so. Universal healthcare, definitely a big win overall. Do you guys have socialized healthcare, Mord? That's awesome. All right, so discard Mine and Mire. I mean, let's go Mire and Reunion. Every country has healthcare. Well, that's a stretch. Except you know them. I'm trying to remember the other really funny list was like which countries don't use or use the imperial system. So let's go fetch second Fable. Because I'm not really afraid of whatever they can do that's proactive next turn. Remand. Okay. We got hours. We got our miles per hour and 100k hospital bills. Yeah. I think I was 19 when I finished high school, Mord, if that's a fact anyone cares about. I was almost like a high school dropout. Well, 17 is when you're supposed to finish, Mord. And then it took me another 3 years to go to university. Okay, so no Valakut triggering this turn. So we just get to Archon them into the ground here. What am I in? Triple Archon? Double Archon with haste. Dream bigger. How? I can't do that, right? I don't actually have the card. I don't know. I just trust. Got it. Pretty sure I go attack, play Dwarven Mine, 6, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. The other option is play Dwarven Mine, attack, play Dwarven Mine means I get to keep the reflection, right? You kill if you don't attack first. I'm so confused. They're at 11. Three triggers. It's 9 plus 2 from Shaman. I'm so confused. Oh, I see. I get it. I get it. Okay, so creativity X3 on all the creatures that well, this, yeah, anyway, we're gonna clear their board, yeah, and then put them to 2 and then attack them for 2. Yeah. Okay, so Veil seems good. Boseiju also seems good. Necromentia seems good to get their Valkuts. Terastodon seems good. Okay, so Bolt, quite poor. Fatal Push is fine. Command seems poor, just in general. But it's nice to be able to sideboard out something consistently. And I guess I'll go down to Persist. Or maybe we can go down to Archon because I'm bringing in Nasty Trasty. Not that I want to stop all the discussion in chat. I would just like people to be just careful about what you say in comparing experiences. It's just a tricky thing to get into. No, everyone's civil here, Shauna. I'm just saying, like, people's feelings can get hurt really easily by accident, and then from there it can go into bad places. So Bitter Reunion feels like the old list with Velo. Cast creativity and start winning on the spot. Yep. I agree, Vija. It's really easy for things to get out of hand. Yeah, the Bitter Reunion has been something, for sure. I really like that card. Mishra's Command, not great. I think a lot of countries have issues recognizing their own problems. Yeah, Bitter Reunion is something else. This card is real good. All right, easy mull. Medium minus keep. But 2 Wrenn and Sixes is kind of nice if they have, like, Spell Pierce. Yeah, the Portal and the Terastodon haven't felt great, Freak. In my mind, I kind of want to go get Sundering Titan back out. Because I just like that card, I guess. I really liked it in the sideboard of the creativity list I was playing the other day. Even though I never actually resolved it. I did resolve Iona. And Iona locked a player out who... So they're missing green? If I draw a land, we might slow roll the Wrenn and Six to try to not let them remand. All right. Because I didn't draw a land, we just got to jam. I don't have to, but I'm choosing to. It's niche, but Sundering Titan could really hurt us. If Sundering Titan is hurting you, you're already winning that game, because that means your opponent's lands are all dead. Like, if Sundering Titan coming in and then dying punishes you, or leaving the battlefield, it's unlikely you were in any kind of okay position in that game to start with. Right? Am I wrong? I don't know if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, but... Tron, I'm thinking, but not played a... Well, you sideboard the Titan. It's not a main deck card. Okay, pretty easy play here. So we go fetch. No, not main board. You bring it in against the 4-color Solitude decks. And ones like this, I guess. I can go Mountain here. It might matter. So first thing is, I guess I can't veil now, but I wasn't planning on veiling anyway. Oh, but they can veil. Well, if he dies, he dies. Veil? No veil. Okay. Yeah, Thundering Titan comes in against the Solitude Leyline Binding decks. And like the only situations where it's really going to hurt you are ones where they're ahead on board in like a really significant way, which doesn't normally happen in those matchups. It could. Okay, so this turn I can go persist if they have remand. They already have a Valakut in place, so the value of Necromentia is not as high. Veil and Haste. I don't have. Oh yeah. If the persist resolves, which I'm assuming it won't. Like they, I don't know. Archon? Endurance is the biggest fear currently, right? Not really. Veil if they remand? Yeah, I mean. Okay, looks good. Trigger. Smark? Smark. Yeah, Bitter Reunion is pretty great, huh? We'll ditch a mountain here. I mean, the Wrenn and Six is not doing anything, but yeah. All right. So at a 3-2, I think we could have won the end of that Rhinos League if people are correct and they had no outs. So this deck is really strong. There's a couple of things that I feel like I would tweak. Overall, Mishra's command was really poor. That frees up a few slots. And then I'm not super convinced about Portal to Phyrexia or Terastodon. I mean, they're both fine, but not my favorite. And Ob Nixilis too. These cards are all a little bit questionable on the sideboard. I think I would want the fourth Persist. HCA get out of the sideboard. People always... I see this card a lot. I don't like it. Elephant 18U was pretty sweet. I don't think that's what you're supposed to be doing with it, carrying Lich, but it is something you can do with it. I do think the sideboard should have a secondary threat. And it seems like the way they built it, they want it to be castable. But my favorite one so far is usually Iona. I guess Iona doesn't play nice with Persist. And this deck not having a shot realistically at casting Iona is not great. Definitely feel like these cards can get out of the sideboard. And Odawara. Yeah. Portal's weird. Ashen Rider's a banger. Emrakul seems nice with Bitter Union giving a haste. It also sideboards against Mill Freak, which I know is one of your favorite things. Sayer's Emissary is Iona at home. It doesn't help you in the white matchups. The thing about Iona is it blocks out Solitude, Supreme Verdict, Teferi, like a lot of ways that those decks can remove your cards. Iona is the best card. Yes, it doesn't beat Otawara. Yeah, Binding. It doesn't beat Otawara, but that's Otawara and Jace are like the two things that it doesn't beat. Yeah. I think this core for the main deck is really good, and then like you can massage it in different places. I don't know what the second best Bitter Reunion effect would be. My instinct is that we should just splash blue for Prismari Command. That's my initial reaction. I think splashing for Prismari Command is where I'd want to be with this list. It creates extra treasures. It's got the Shatter mode, which is good against Hammer. Yeah, the Thoughtseize has never felt great. And I wonder if they shouldn't be a 2-2 split of Inquisition and Thoughtseize. I know Freak really doesn't like Inquisition. I do, especially when this deck is already slamming its life total. So... And Inquisition clears most counter spells. It clears a lot of the things you care about. Not all of them. Like when you run into some decks like Titan, okay, yeah, it's not the best. But in most of the metagame, Inquisition's pretty great. Obviously nothing's perfect, but I think I like Inquisition split 2-2 with Thoughtseize here. And then 3 slots you have to play with. Like, again, my go-to would be probably Prismari Command, but it doesn't have to be that. Anywho, if you're watching this in the future on the YouTube, make sure you hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, yell at me in the comments over my misplays, and check out any of my other videos that you're interested in, and I will see you there. For those who are live, we're going to